Well, welcome to my blood analysis or blood type analysis seminar. If I behave and get through all this material tonight, I understand from Melissa I got a turkey tom sandwich on hold for me, so I'm going to try to behave and take this slowly and get through this and make it understandable for everybody out there. So let's get started. All right. My next seminar will be addressing female hormones. And if I get this right, which I hope I get right, I won't end up going out of here in a body bag. When we're talking female hormones, you better get it right, especially if you're male. You want to make sure you do all the hormones right. Now, our next seminar will be Dr. Tent. His seminars are always wonderful, always fantastic. Where Have We Been will be his next seminar. That'll be December 1st, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Dr. Jeff, preventing dementia, that's a problem in today's world. It's becoming fastly growing more and more. That's a tough one. He's got his hands full with that one. That's going to be October 6th, 2021 at 7:30. Remember what we do, virtual appointments, Skype, Zoom. We have many formats that we use to do our virtual appointments. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and check out our protocols. Watch our protocols on Facebook and YouTube. Connect with us. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We got many formats. We're looking into new ones even. Charlotte, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so you look fantastic. I mean, whatever we're doing, it's changing you like I can't believe. So we're filming. I want you don't say any bad words because we're filming this whole Skype appointment. But I want you to say out loud, and let me turn this up just a bit. I want you to say out loud what your symptoms are, or what you came to me for initially.
Well, I mean, after I had interferon treatments for hepatitis C back from 2007 to 2008, where I injected myself for 46 weeks with it. And ever since then, I'd had trouble with my lungs, with, just really I had been catching everything that came across me until 2018, and I started looking into to take care of myself. But I still had some residual things from this. I was getting better, but I still needed more help. But one thing that I have a problem coming off of is the omeprazole. And of course, my anxiety and my sleep issues was the thing I could not overcome. But the last 4 nights I've slept 8 hours a night, which is a miracle. And so I'm real excited about that. And I got my labs back that said that everything was fine and nothing needed to be changed. And I don't have to change anything.
That's exciting. So all of that changed in a matter of how long?
That was, it was 3 weeks by the time I got the blood test done. Almost 3 weeks, not quite. And then, but it was about 4 weeks by the time I finally got control of my sleep. I actually can fall asleep at night.
Well, here's the other thing, too, that the people can't see is you totally look like a different person.
Okay.
Completely. Even Carly, the Strive office girl here, said, I can't believe the difference in how much better she looks. And I only believed that to a certain length until you popped on, and I'm like, holy smokes, looks like a different person. So this has been a home run. I mean, what an absolute home run with Hep C, not being able to sleep, the omeprazole, all the stuff that you had. And in a matter of a month or so here, we're already seeing changes beyond belief.
Yes.
Now, I got your new blood work. We're going to go over that here in a minute. I'm going to show you some things we're going to tweak a little bit to get you that much better. But I'm glad that you were feeling that much better. And thank you for allowing us to film you to show others what kind of success at DHS we can get with people all over the country.
Okay, you're welcome.
Perfect. I wanted to share that with you because, as you heard, everything looked fine on the results. I wanted to show you what we can do with a Skype patient. not even being in the office, just taking a symptom profile, doing the blood work, putting together the protocols, and the results we can get. That's the kind of results we can get even doing Skype. So if you have a family member out there, different state, different country, what have you, there's help. There's help available. Give us a call. Share your story. What's your story? So when you come in, don't be afraid to share your story with us. We like to let everybody know out there what we're helping people with. Sometimes we don't have the opportunity, or people don't have the opportunity to know exactly what we can and cannot treat here. So if you share your story, you're reaching out to many more people around the world, around the country, to help them out. We live in a dumpster. Things in a dumpster are mixed up, screwed up, broken, empty, dirty. Some things in society seem that way today. Let's take a look. So, 89% of children's food products provide poor nutrition quality, study finds. 9 out of 10 regular food items aimed specifically at children have poor nutrition content. So, one of the things I like to get right started with is the infant program that I like to use. I use the trace minerals for the infants. I like to use the vitamin mineral shakes put right in their bottle, and I like to use the omega-3 EPA DHA for brain development. As they get older, once they get about 1 to 5, again, I like the trace minerals. The Catalin is a multiple. The Congaplex for the colds, flus, sore throats, earaches, and again, the omega-3 EPA DHA to keep that brain functioning well. For the older ones, even older than that, once we're 5 and plus, or 5 and older, they start school, they start sports. Again, the trace minerals. I love the Congaplex again for the colds and flus. The EPA DHA is wonderful for preventing and helping prevent what? Concussions for the sports they're starting to get into. Cytozyme AD to help that adrenal gland, to help produce their natural corticosteroids in the body. Osteo B, because now they're going to start sports. We want to make sure we make those bones nice and strong. I use this as their 1-a-day vitamin. Cod liver I like to use for their brain at that point because I love how the cod liver oil helps with memory. 11 facts about American eating habits. In a 2012 study, 52% of Americans that were polled believed that doing their taxes was easier than figuring out how to eat healthy. At least 1 in 4 people eat some type of fast food every day. Over 10 billion donuts are consumed in the U.S. every year. And thanks to our patient, Vicky, she always likes to bring us those nice, yummy donuts from her side of town. She's adding to that statistic. 20% of all meals are eaten in the car. Empty nutrition, how flavor technology leads to a massive deterioration of food quality. Flavor is supposed to indicate the nutritional content of foods. Chemical flavorings have radically changed the way people perceive the nutritional value of foods that they eat. Processed food manufacturers have produced food with virtually no nutritional value or even negative nutritional value. But because of the great taste and aroma, consumers gobble them up thinking they are eating something wholesome. Our taste buds are dead. Low quality foods has destroyed the bodies of millennials. Bowel cancer explodes in young generations. A study out of Georgia State University reveals that some of the most popular emulsifiers found in processed foods cause the inflammation that leads to the formation of cancer cells. They also change the balance of the bacteria in the gut in a way that encourages the growth of cancer cells. Remember that gut-brain barrier has a lot to do with depression and the function of the brain. How much sugar do we eat? You may be surprised. 200 years ago, the average American ate 2 pounds of sugar a year. In 1970, it was 123 pounds of sugar per year. Today, the average American consumes about 153 pounds of sugar per year. And let's not forget, the fermentation of sugar can cause cancer. So, what a great time to talk about my cancer prevention and immune support for all you sugar lovers. I favor Dismuzyme granules. It's got the SOD in it. I love the vitamin D. It's the base of all cancer support. Research proves it. This one might be a strange one for you docs out there, the gastrozyme. Why that one? In 1954, chlorophyll was found to be a very good preventer of cancer. There's chlorophyll in there, and there's also vitamin U, which is very therapeutic to the intestines. IAG is the large arabinogalactan that helps to increase the cell-to-cell communication, which stops the clustering of these cancer cells to travel. And then, of course, liquid iodine is a home run for cancer prevention. Summer camps shift to healthy foods, superior nutrition. Public schools keep dragging their feet. Public schools remain a nutritional quagmire. Michelle hasn't got that one figured out yet. More than half American children are eating poor diets, study finds. More than half of the kids, 56%, were eating meals of low nutritional value that contained too much salt, too many processed foods, and not enough vegetables, according to the 17-year analysis published by the Journal of American Medical Association. And we wonder why our kids can't focus. How much sugar are your kids eating? Right now, kids eat about 19 teaspoons of sugar per day. Exposure to sugary breakfast cereals, advertising directly influences children's diets. Laboratory studies have shown that kids will request and prefer brands they have seen recently on TV ads. Now, let's not forget, TV is the great propaganda machine. Years ago, they knocked on your door trying to sell you a vacuum, and they thought, how could we get inside that house and subliminally advertise all the time? TV was a great invention for that. Living on processed foods and junk nutrition, American girls are now the fattest in the world, study finds. Now, before I go out in a body bag, hold on, girls. Professor Larson added, noting that up to 90% of men are over fat. So the men are actually worse. Obesity skyrocketing in China as they adopt the Western diet and lifestyle. State of the pandemic, that might not be so bad. Technology, indoor lifestyles destroying humanity eyesight. Although the exact reason for the increase in these numbers is still unclear, experts urge parents to send their children outside to spend more time in nature. Parents urging kids to go outside. I don't know. In my generation, we never had to be urged to go outside. We were told to come home when the street lights were on. Remember the days of carrying a little hockey net off of the street, car on. We looked at the guy driving by as though he had no business driving his car down our street. That's how we used to play. Junk food is linked to both moderate and severe psychological distress. Remember that gut-brain barrier I talked about? Increased sugar consumption has been found to be associated with bipolar disorders. For example, and consumption of foods that have been fried and contain high amounts of sugar and processed grains have been linked to depression. Starbucks, donuts, candies, energy drinks, we see them all the time. Be kind to your brain. Here's where we get a little teaser of the blood type stuff. St. John's wort. Now that works great in all the blood types except blood type O's. Why? Because O's have low monoamino oxidase, and if you take St. John's, it will lower it more. It'll make them feel weird. Every blood type does good on this except the blood type O's. So St. John's for those depressants. Mintran, good for every blood type. That helps to calm you down. It's that mineral tranquilizer that relaxes you. The Bio3BG, I find great results in the blood type O's, the blood type A's. We got to watch the B's. Sometimes they have problem methylating those B vitamins. De-stress and 5-HTP is an absolute home run for the blood type A's, really for most blood types, but the blood type A's and ABs do extremely well on it. With the O's, we find that the 5-HTP, pushing the serotonin, helps with sugar control or sugar cravings. The de-stress works great in all blood types just to take out that stress. L-izyme is a home run for your blood type O's that tend to be more matic, but it's great for all blood types that have that busy brain. Omega-3 EPA DHA should be the base for all brains or for all people to help the brain. It's essential fatty acids. It really helps with the concussions and any damage that happens to the brain cells. Min-Chex is a home run for your O's that can't focus or tend to be procrastinators. It's also good in the other blood types. Minchex and the L-enzyme together for your blood type O's is a home run for that child in class that drifts off and can't pay attention, can't focus, and can't get the grades. This works well together. Tuna Omega is good for all blood types. I especially like the cod liver for the blood type O's for memory, but it's good for all blood types except for the ABs. The ABs do a lot better on the omega-3s for the energy and the focus. Looking for organic vitamins, grocery store foods are fast becoming a poor source of nutrition. It has become increasingly clear that even if we eat right, choosing fruits and vegetables at your local grocery store, you won't be getting adequate supplies of organic vitamins and minerals. The food isn't as nutritious as it should be. The dramatic decline in measurable levels of organic vitamins in grocery store produce, the UK study mentioned above, is just one of dozens such studies. Blows away the old medical myth that you can get all your nutrition you need from the 3 square meals a day. A better solution is to stop thinking that the National Food Supply as your source of nutrition. I remember my mom years ago had these friends that would come over. And there's a few of them, Jerry, Jack Lamont, Jack Rosecran, Jim Russell. They'd all tease her. Bernice, you're wasting your money. You're going to that alternative guy and it's just snake oil. All that money you're spending on your vitamins is doing nothing. You're wasting your money. My mom is 90, still kicking, doing great. All of those people that used to tease her are gone now. They're dead. The 4 reasons your health is deteriorating: lack of enzymes, not enough probiotics, and deficient in vitamins and minerals. In a study from the University of Texas that was published in the Journal of American College of Nutrition, nutritional data was studied from the USDA from both 1950 and 1999 for 43 different vegetables and fruits, and it was found that reliable declines were present in the amounts of protein, calcium, phosphorus, iron, riboflavin, and vitamin C. The Organic Consumer Association also cited data that analyzed nutrients from 1975 to 1997 and found that calcium levels in 12 fresh vegetables dropped 27%, iron levels 37%, vitamin A 21%, and vitamin C 30%. In the words of Dr. Tent in the seminar I heard, we are devolving, we're not evolving. Nutrition has a lot to do with that. Poor nutrition and junk food leads directly to pharmaceutical industry profits. Drug companies are in the business to make money, not make people healthy. We have a medical system that suppresses information about the correlation between foods and disease prevention. Most of the revenues generated from conventional medicine actually come from the treatment of the symptoms caused by the nutritional imbalance and deficiencies. In other words, the big money makers for the conventional medicine are diseases that are in fact caused by nutritional deficiencies and nutritional imbalances in the first place. Prescription drugs cause nutritional depletion. Could it be that the same thing that helps the symptoms cause the problem that leads to the symptoms in the first place? So we're giving, we have a nutritional deficiency, we give a medication to help it. The medication increases the nutritional deficiency. Medicine has us chasing our tail. Then we have this, teenagers increasingly getting high off prescription drugs. They find a different way to use it, the street value goes up, and now we're doing different things with it. Other health issues that qualify us as living in a dumpster. Let's take a look. I don't think this one needs any explanation, but we got the electric car, we got the pump charging the car, and look at the disaster that's occurring to the environment. Is it really that much better? Think about the batteries in those cars and some of the toxic elements in those batteries. But look at this. Future electric cars could recharge wirelessly while you drive. But we thought if we increase the frequency of electrical fields in the laboratory, Afridi and his students set up metal plates parallel to one another, separated by 12 centimeters. 2 bottom plates represent the transmitting plates within the roadway, while the 2 top plates represent the receiving plates inside the vehicle. When Afridi flips the switch, energy is transmitted from the bottom plates. Instantly, the light bulb above the top plate lights up. power transmission with no wires needed. You're going to be microwaved in this new idea of putting plates in the roads to keep your cars charged. You're going to increase the radiation into the body. I ask you, whatever happened to the guys that like the throaty exhaust, that combustion motor, and squealing the tires? It's still fun. Organic Italian jam found to contain radiation from decades-old Chernobyl accident. What is Fukushima doing to our food supply? Protocol for nuclear contamination: iodine, glutathione, chelation, clay, baking soda. Radiation detox protocol. SOD, superoxide dismutase, which is in dysmutase granules, will turn radiation into a harmless peroxide so it can be urinated out in 24 to 48 hours. Magnesium helps to keep the stools moving, a major detoxifying organ. GSH plus is glutathione. Liquid iodine is huge for radiation. I'd want that around if we ever had radiation fallout. BioAE, B6B1, baking soda, which is the kidney is usually the first affected. And I'll show you how that takes that out. Celtic sea salt, and then of course nitrogreens would open up all our detoxifying pathways. Help remove radioactive contamination. Chlorophyll, like I said, in '54 it was touted as a prevention for cancer, but it will also help to remove radiation. Sodium bicarbonate. If you have been exposed to too many x-rays or CAT scans, if you fly too much, work with diagnostic medical equipment, or are environmentally sensitive and have ingested elevated levels of radioactive contamination, food, air, or water, you also want to partake in the following protocol on a regular basis. The oral administration of sodium bicarbonate diminishes the severity of the changes produced by uranium in the kidneys. The kidneys are usually the first organ to show chemical damage upon uranium exposure. Sodium bicarbonate makes the urinal ion less kidney toxic and promotes excretion of the non-toxic uranium carbonate complex. Sodium bicarbonate binds with uranium. This is the reason it is used in oncology centers to control chemo agent spills, and it actually is used intravenously to protect the patient from the hazardous toxicity of chemotherapy. There is no better therapy for radiation sickness than intense sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, and magnesium baths with the appropriate added clay. Glutathione and bicarbonate nebulization. The main cancer risk for inhaled uranium oxide and other airborne radioactive particles would be from tiny insoluble particles lodged deep in the lungs. That's a good reason to nebulize both glutathione and bicarbonate directly into the lungs, and then one must wonder why governments and health officials have not sponsored this treatment yet. Here's some other ones that I'll let you read. You can still frame it and read on your own. Iodine, again, is one of the most or the best ways to get rid of your or protect yourself from radiation damage or exposure. HAARP. Is the HAARP project a weather control weapon? Here's a few of the key statements taken verbatim from the patent. The temperature of the ionosphere has been raised by hundreds of degrees in these experiments. A means and methods in providing to cause interference with or total disruption of communication over a very large portion of the Earth. Weather modification is possible by, for example, altering upper atmospheric winds patterns and altering solar absorption patterns by constructing one or more plumes of atmospheric particles which will act as a lens or focusing device. Ozone, nitrogen, etc. Concentrations in the atmosphere could be artificially increased. Electromagnetic pulse defense are also possible. The Earth's magnetic field could be decreased or disrupted at appropriate altitudes to modify and eliminate the magnetic field. Sounds like it could be a lead to global warming. HAARP, weather control, is the HAARP project and weather control weapon. HAARP and manipulation of emotions. They even claim it can manipulate emotions. If you read the magazine Monitoring Times, in 1996, they came out in November with an article in there that talked about when they turned this machine on, caribou within a mile of this machine would walk backwards.
I mean, lasers? Really? To change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far, it works.
That came out last year. Now they're talking about lasers to alter your weather. We've had some pretty unique weather patterns lately. More, BPA levels in humans far higher than previously thought. The CDC estimates that over 90% of the people in the U.S. are chronically exposed to BPA at over 3,000 times the daily level that the FDA reports. The BPA level is either on the side or bottom of the bottles in black or clear numbers, usually inside the recycling sign formed by circular arrows. The number 2 means your food is contaminated with aluminum and polyethylene plastic. And the number 7 means that the BPA in your polycarbonate containers. BPA was originally developed in the 1930s as a synthetic version of the female hormone estrogen. BPA is an endocrine disruptor, meaning it is a chemical that interferes with the hormone system in animals, including humans. Wondering why kids are more hyperactive these days? And the doctors suggest prescribing ADA pharmaceuticals. Bisphenol A mimics estrogenic activity and enhances mesolimbic dopamine activity, which results in hyperactive and attention deficits. So, support your detox pathways. Nitrogreens, again, opens up the pathway. You can put that as part of your protein shake in the morning. Black currant seed oil is a great way to push estrogen off the body. Yes, men, you can have extra estrogen in your body as well. Cruciferous Complete and Endol-3 Carbinol has the 13C in it, which will also do the trick for detoxing pathways. Gender bender chemicals are turning boys into girls. The government of Denmark has released a 326-page report affirming that endocrine disrupting chemicals are probably contributing to the birth of fewer males and the feminization of the existing ones. The report centers on the chemicals like PVC, flame retardants, phthalates, dioxins, PCBs, and bisphenol A, all of which mimic the action of estrogen in the body. The researchers concluded that due to the prevalence of these chemicals, children could be easily exposed to the high levels to place them in critical risk or harm. So, this is what we use. Naturally support your hormones. Gaminol forte is gamma orzinol. It will help to increase testosterone if it's needed. It's a great way to get rid of belly fat. It's a great way to increase testosterone levels if they're needed, self-regulate it in the body. Gaminol forte is a fantastic product. For the women, don't forget, sometimes your testosterone can be low too. I've found several recently where they're low. If you have that double wave or you have that weakening of the muscle or atrophy in the muscle as age passes by, this is a home run. It'll also give you that endurance to do the things you used to do with vigor all over again. Turmeric forte, this is great for the men that have the gynecomastia, which is the larger bellies and the man boobs. Endol-3 Carbinol is again the 13C. That will help tremendously with hormones. It'll get rid of the estrogen, balance them out. And black currant seed oil, like I've already talked about, is a home run. Proposed legislation would impose fines on California retailers that have separate girls' and boys' toy sections. In other words, put the toy sections both together, girls and boys. The only reason I ever played Barbies in my life is because I was coerced by my neighbor Cheryl Zwicky to play Barbies, and it gave me a chance to get closer and talk to her. That's the only reason I did Barbies. Things have become interesting, haven't they? When this is your best choice when voting. I'll let you think about that one. Class action lawsuit over smart meters, harms to humans dismissed by the Supreme Court. You might want to rethink long and hard about that radiation protocol that I put up just a bit ago. Yes, radiation damages DNA. Here it is. World Health Organization, International Agency for Research on Cancer, has classified cellular phone radiation as a possible carcinogen based on a review of the scientific research. Cell phones and smart meters both use RF radiation to transmit their signals, just like those plates in the road for your future cars they want to charge. The industry-funded Interphone study, for example, found that a decade of cellular phone use increases the risk of brain tumors by 40%. You're getting baked everywhere. Again, this is my favorite for getting rid of that radiation exposures, these two right here, the dysmuzyme and the iodine, liquid iodine forte. I definitely want those around with radiation. I'll let you look into this on your own. Grounding, not what you may think. You remember those days of going to Myrtle Beach when you take off your flip-flops and you walk down the beach for a couple miles and walk back? You naturally say, my goodness, I can't believe how much better I feel that we just took this walk back and forth down the beach. You're grounding yourself. You're pulling radiation from your body just from putting your feet in the sand. Teenage girls develop degenerative muscular disease after HPV vaccine injections. The FDA and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have launched an investigation into the potential connection between the Gardasil vaccine for the human papillomavirus and a rare degenerative muscular disease called ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. I heard somebody once say, just say no, don't be a, to men and girls. Abstinence is best. What is this? Natural immunity. You got the kid eating dirt. Remember drinking fountains at all the local malls? You wouldn't think to drink out of one of those now. Watch your money, it's dirty. Quit licking your finger and counting your money. I remember this kid. You look down the row at the school. He wasn't chewing anything 5 minutes ago, and now he's chewing a bubble gum. Where did he get it from? Remember Bobolo? I remember Bobolo. We used to go down that log ride, put our arms up. We'd always get a couple gulps of water in our mouth. I can't imagine how dirty that water was. And then we got the kissing of the dog. There's over 100 bacterias in a dog's mouth. That's natural immunity. Why doesn't anybody ask why? I'll let you think about that one, of what's going on these days. I don't want to get too deep into that. I could get myself in a lot of trouble, but why doesn't anybody ask why? Do your research. Look into things. China is stealing your DNA with home ancestry kits. They're starting to catalog your DNA by stealing DNA from your ancestry kits. No treatment needed. The U.S. population could cut cancer deaths in half just by adopting healthier lifestyles. A new study published in the journal JAMA Oncology found that new cases of cancer could drop by 20 to 40%, and cancer-related deaths could drop by half if we started adopting healthier lifestyles. After extrapolation of the data to the U.S. population at large, the researchers found that for women, an estimated 41% cancer cases and 59% of cancer deaths were preventable. For men, 63% of cancer cases were preventable and 67% reduced risk of death was recorded. Cancer isn't all in the genes. Up to 90% of the cases could be wiped out by avoiding triggers caused by an unhealthy lifestyle. A study published in the Journal of Nature reinforced the health-minded people have long known life plays a huge role in whether or not a person develops cancer. It's not solely regulated to their genes. In fact, upwards of 90% of the cases could be wiped out by swapping unhealthy lifestyle choices with healthy ones. The study, entitled Substantial Contribution of Extrinsic Risk Factors to Cancer Development, notes that the rates of endogenous mutation accumulation by intrinsic processes are not sufficient to account for the observed cancer risk. It concluded that cancer risk is heavily influenced by extrinsic factors. In other words, the mutations internally were not as bad as the extrinsic factors as the cause. Dr. Emma Smith of Cancer Research UK says in a video that while a few cancers exist by chance in our DNA, many are brought on by external factors. This, she says, is good news because it means many cancers are preventable. Researchers are finding that even if genetics are involved, they can be altered with lifestyle changes and nutrition. Here's the book, Deep Nutrition. Let's explore the science. Impact on genes. In a sense, our lifestyle teaches our genes how to behave. Remember those days when you'd say, look at John over there. He stands like his dad. Look at Sue over there. She holds her crocheting knitting utensils just like her mom did. Or he talks like his dad did. Your genes are pre-programmed. In a sense, a lifestyle teaches our genes how to behave. Scientists are becoming convinced that failure to attend the proper care or feeding of our bodies doesn't just affect us, it affects our genes. And that means it may affect our offspring. Research shows that when one sibling has osteoporosis and the other doesn't, you'll find the genes encoding for bone growth in the osteoporotic member have gone to sleep, having been tagged temporarily to stay unexposed or dormant. Fortunately, they wake up from their slumber if we change our habits. What makes DNA forget? In 2014, a geneticist working in conjunction with Albert Einstein's College of Medicine in New York found evidence supporting the idea that low levels of certain nutrients could promote these reproductive errors. Folic acid, B12, and a number of essential amino acids are used for a type of epigenetic bookmarking called methylation. A lack of any of these vital nutrients would result in undermethylation, and critical bookmarks may be omitted. If this is really the case, then it would seem that optimizing a man's diet would efficiently fortify him against errors and the disease they may cause. Good nutrition can help reverse epigenetic mistakes. Basically, I just showed you evidence supporting the idea that good diet can help prevent epigenetic mistakes that lead to a permanent mutation. But can diet fix past mistakes before they rise to the level of mutation? In other words, can good nutrition enable your genes to return to an earlier, more adaptive strategy, thus averting the possibility that this strategy may be added to the permanent genetic record in the form of a mutation? The following two studies demonstrate how strategies involving a predisposition to being overweight can be toggled on and off by modulating nutrition in utero or during pregnancy. A 2010 study looking into how poor maternal nutrition and obesity affect subsequent generations concluded poor in utero or during pregnancy nutrition may be a major contributor to the current cycle of obesity. The article shows that children born to overweight mothers are epigenetically programmed to build adipose tissue in unhealthy amounts. This suggests that millions of malnourished moms are, unbeknownst to them, programming their children for a lifetime of being overweight, and that the predisposition for putting on the pounds can be passed down to that child's children as well. Did one mom without access to proper nutrition doom all the subsequent generations to being overweight? Here's the good news. As much as bad nutrition can lead to undesirable traits, good nutrition can compel the epigenetic adaptation system to reprise an earlier strategy appropriate for a more optimal nutritional environment. Some of the classic epigenetic research suggests that forgotten strategies may be recalled at least in some circumstances when genes are given improved nutrition support. And this is why I believe we all have the potential to be, or at least give birth to, genetic lottery winners, because a forgetful genome can potentially be retrained. I'll let you read about this article. You can still frame, or this research, you can still frame it and look at that one and read through that. As far as for DNA and mitochondrial support, I like the cellular vitality. Cellular vitality comes from the seeds. You got the multi-fruit seed powder, ruby, grape, blueberry, cranberry, raspberry, blackberry, which are all have polyphenols in them. But here's how it goes. If the leaf is healthy, the stalk is healthier in some cases. And if the stalk is healthier, the roots are healthier. This is the seeds. This is the virgin seeds. This is even healthier. It's a great way to help maintain and stabilize your DNA. We already know from previous slides that you can't get your nutrition from grocery store foods like in the past. So the two other ways are from truly organic farmers' produce stands and non-commercially raised livestock, or high-quality nutrition like we carry here at Diverse Health Services. To better understand the difference between fun foods and actual groceries, let's take a look at the soils of commercially raised crops. Are they healthy? Now, I showed this before in a past lecture. This is the map of the United States, and this is the mineral deficiency across the United States in the 50s. Some areas you'll find there's no coloring. That's only because there are areas they couldn't get to. They're uninhabitable, or they just couldn't get there. The different various colors indicate different minerals and their deficiencies across the United States. This is why we see our food not doing so well, because if we're deficient on minerals, the plant's deficient, which makes either us deficient or the animal that eats it that we eat deficient. What are we to do? How do we fix this? High-quality nutritional supplements are becoming your groceries, whereas the average store-bought food is now your fun food with low nutritional value. This is mainly because the supplements we carry are being developed by controlled environments with old-style farming techniques, producing nutrient-rich soils that are healthy for plant growth, free of chemicals. Here's the father of organic. Our founder, Jay Rodale, bought a rundown farm in Pennsylvania and began to experiment with a way of growing foods without chemicals that he coined organic. He said, healthy soils equal healthy food equals healthy people. This is in the 40s. That's the father of the word organic. All right, here we go. Let's get into the blood type stuff. What does blood type mean to your health? One of the most primordial genes we have gives rise to our blood type. We are 99% the same as humans, but at the same time, we could say humans share nothing in common, and that would also be accurate. No two things that start the same have the same outcome. They have different methods of adaptation. We haven't heard much about blood types and their influence before because medical students don't learn much about blood types other than complicating blood transfusions. Most medical students graduate medical school with the understanding of blood type relationships that don't kill people. In other words, which types clot with each other. The need to explore blood types. In humans, there are 300 blood type systems. ABO system is the most commonly used and most familiar RH system, positive and minus. That's your rhesus factor. This is important when the mothers are pregnant to determine if they need RhoGAM or not. RH system only found on the red blood cell, a true blood type not found anywhere else in the body. Antigens are what mark us in the ABO system. Antigens are everywhere. How did it all start? James L. Diadamo, NDDC, he worked in a hematology lab doing blood counts in a hospital. 1950s, he tried to understand why everybody didn't do well on a particular diet. Some did good on so-called healthy diets, but others didn't. It may have done even poorly. The difference was you put people on the same diet, one does great, the other one does poorly. What's the difference? He was trying to figure this out. Looking at blood size, he wondered if there was something in blood to make people respond differently. He started looking at the blood types. His son, Peter, he frankly thought his dad was crazy. He started researching pathologies and blood types. Upon further research, it not only confirmed the patterns found by his dad, but also prompted him to write the book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Logically, it makes sense. We are all biochemical milkshakes of our parents, making us all biochemically unique. So, the distribution of blood types. Blood type B is primarily located in Central Asia. The darker areas is where we saw a higher population of that blood type. It is environmentally friendly to their prairie and nomadic living for the blood type Bs. Blood type A's movement or changes in blood type was due to agricultural developments and urbanization. This is the area of the world where we found the highest population of blood type A's, with the darker areas being the most. Blood type O's, they were in the Western Hemisphere. This is where you saw most of them early on. Now, blood types have evolved and mixed around due to international movement of people, but this is how they started off. Intrinsic difference. You will find populations of specific blood types common to specific areas of the world due to adaptation to disease and the environment. Why do we carry antibodies to other blood types? By having an antigen as a marker and an antibody as a defense, you're drawing the line in the sand of what you will be able to tolerate and what you will not. Example, blood type O's have a lot of protection built in because it carries antibodies to the blood type A and B. So, if you're a blood type O, you cannot receive blood from types A and B, thus being able to only receive blood from blood type O. This information alone is monumentally important when it comes to the tolerability to infectious disease. Let's take a look. Blood type A's, most adversely affected in the recent pandemic. If you were a blood type A, coronavirus hit you harder. In years past, we're more resistant to plagues, historically more resistant to contract typhoid, more susceptible to malaria. Blood type O's, more susceptible to contract cholera. Blood type B's, they're more susceptible to the autoimmune diseases, Hashimoto disease, rheumatoid arthritis. So what I want to talk about is what you were telling me about your mother. Many times, I'm going to have a seminar coming up August 3rd. I'm going to do a seminar on blood types, so you might want to watch it. It's going to be on our Facebook Live for DHS, Diversified Health Services. But I want that, for years I've been studying this. Since 1997, I've been studying blood types and how things react. And I many times have told people that are blood type B to stay away from chicken because it has a glutenating lectin in it that causes the blood to clot. So with that being said, I want Tony's here filming because we want to teach the people out there how accurate this is, because like we talked about, I thought it was a bunch of bananas when I first learned it, but as I did the research over time and time again, I would see blood type B's related to patients of mine having multiple mini strokes and other things from eating chicken. Tell me that story about your mom again.
Okay, so my mom, her whole life, she was raised on a farm. She took care of guineas, got pecked a lot, said, when I leave home, I am never touching another bird again. I won't eat it. I won't fix it. So needless to say, she got married, grew up. At 5 years old, I learned how to butcher chickens because my mother would not touch the chickens. And she didn't know how to cut them, break them down, cook them, anything. Because we lived on a farm, people would give us produce for Christmas. They give us these chickens. I'd have to process them. So she goes her whole life. She's 89 years old. She's met Dr. Tent. When I could bring her to Detroit, when I lived in the Detroit metro area, I brought her to see Dr. Tent. She's in good health, takes her supplements, and about 3 months ago, she went to the doctor, and the doctor told her to stop with the hamburger. Your cholesterol's too high. But she loves beef. Of course, she loves beef because that's all she's eaten her whole life. And so he said, you've got to learn to eat chicken. So she started eating, and she lives in the assisted living facility in North Manchester, Indiana, and they made her chicken salad with balsamic vinegar in it, so it kind of masked the taste of the chicken. She goes, oh, this is good. I'm sorry I've missed this my whole life. So she gave up beef 3 months ago, started on this chicken salad. And here, she liked it so much, she was eating it almost 2 meals a day. And about a month into it, about 2 months ago, she called me and she said, I'm going blind. I was on the phone with her.
Mhm.
She goes, I'm going blind. My vision is narrowing. And I said, Mom, I said, sit down. I will call 911 and we will get you out. Oh, no, I don't want to be in any trouble.
Mhm.
And with COVID and all the rules, I don't want to be on quarantine like everybody else had to be isolated for 2 weeks. I'll just sit here and I'll be fine. So my doctor, my sister is a doctor of pharmacy and a doctor of nutrition. And I called her, and she lives down there in Warsaw. She went over and picked her up and drove her to Lutheran Hospital, where by the time my sister got down there to pick her up, which was just almost within the hour, my mom was totally blind. My sister picked her up, took her to Lutheran Hospital, where they determined she had a series of mini strokes.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what they gave her, but she got her sight back. But they told her they didn't know why she had mini strokes. Nobody could tell us why she had these mini strokes. And it was concerning to us because we love our mom. She's always been healthy. But the only change in her whole routine because of COVID was the chicken salad.
Absolutely.
That's the only change.
Yep. And instead of worrying about chicken, I know he told her to start eating chicken, get off the beef. He missed the boat on that one. It's the carbs and sugars that we got to stay away from that really accelerate plaquing and other problems with blood sugar levels and things like that. So that's where you want to go with her. But thank you for that story, because so many times over the years I've seen these blood type Bs and their relatives are eating chicken, and all of a sudden they start having multiple mini strokes. And soon as we ditch the chicken, guess what happens? They start getting better. But they should ditch the chicken from the beginning because of that agglutinating lectin.
See, she told me she gave it up for a week, last week, because it was Easter. She gave it up, and she had beef on Easter Sunday, and since then, and she called me today, and she said, I feel so much better just on my hamburger.
Yep.
She goes, I think I'm going to stick with my hamburger. I'm like, well, Mom, the chicken doesn't hurt you occasionally to have it, but now I will get her off of it.
Well, watch that seminar that I'm going to do on August 3rd, Facebook Live, DHS. I'm going to explain all this, and people are going to understand how things process and work in the blood type with their blood type even better.
That's terrific, Dr. Gill. We appreciate it. And let me tell you, all these lectures, being educated patients, it helps us not only be healthier, but keep our families healthier. So thank you.
Fantastic. Nice talking to you, Jennifer.
Nice talking to you, and my mom thanks you too.
Okay. Well, tell her I said hello.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
So there it is. The thing I didn't believe when I first heard it about the agglutinating lectins in chicken that reacts with blood type Bs. That's the one thing, because we're always taught that the staple of health is chicken. But in a blood type B person, that agglutinating lectin causes their blood to become viscous and eventually clot. Time and time again, Linda, I know you're out there. One of my favorite patients, her brother had a stroke down in Ohio. She got down there. She called me, said, my brother had a major stroke. What do you think? I said, what's his blood type? She said, blood type B. I said, let me ask you something, Linda. Can you ask your brother, you're in the room with him, ask him if he eats a lot of chicken. So I hear her ask him, do you eat a lot of chicken? I hear him respond. She gets back on. She said, yeah, that's all he ever eats. I said, save his life. Tell him to stop eating chicken. I cannot tell you since 1997, time and time again, how many people that are blood type B, that I take them off the chicken, I put them on the proteolytic enzymes that break down the blood viscosity for clotting, and all of a sudden their energy goes through the roof. History of blood transfusions, and we will get to lectins and explain those for you in a moment here. Early on, transfusions occurred from sheep to man, dog to man, salt water and milk to humans. This was the blood transfusions they were trying to do, which was killing people early on. All of these occurred up until Dr. Carl Landsteiner discovered that the relationship of transfusions and the outcomes produced were due to the antibodies on the 4 different blood groups. He won a Nobel Prize for that. Here it is. O's, blood type O's can give to everybody. ABs can accept from everybody. A's can only accept from O's or from A's, and B's can only accept from O's or B's. Here it is. Antigen A means that's blood type A. They create an antibody to B, which means they can't accept any B. So B and AB can't be accepted by them. They can accept the O blood type and the A once again. Antigen B means you're a blood type B. So they can accept blood from a B, but they can't accept blood from an A or an AB because they have the antibody to the AB. Where the antigen A and B gives you the AB, they're the universal acceptor. They can take blood from everybody, okay? So they're getting blood from everybody. And then you have neither antigen A or B, which makes you an O. Zero antigen makes you an O. That's how they came up with that. Both antibodies to A and B, so they can't accept blood from anybody but an O. That's how it works. Transfusion relationship. Prior to the discovery, surgery could only be done for a certain length of time to control blood loss because transfusions were unpredictable. So surgeries were timed. Could you imagine? Stop the surgery, it's been too long. We will open them back up in 120 days when the blood builds back up. So they would time surgeries for the amount of blood loss. They would stop the surgery, close the patient up, only to wait longer, 120 days, to let the blood build back up, reopen them up to finish the surgeries. Once blood types were discovered, it revolutionized surgery. We have surgeries that can go on for hours now. Now, this is the distribution of your different blood types. You know, English, Southeast Asians, Indians, Australian Aborigines, Native Americans, Africans. This is your Europeans here. I'll let you look at that. Blood type chemicals. Blood type is chemical in nature and known as glycoproteins, carbohydrates and proteins, or glycolipids, carbohydrates and lipids. In humans, both of these transmit information. The sugars that are on the glycoproteins decide where they will go. The body puts sugars on these glycoproteins and glycolipids to direct them in the body. Therefore, these blood type chemicals are everywhere. The tongue, the salivary glands, thyroid gland, and here's the interesting one. It's not as abundant in the thyroid gland, but if you have colon cancer, all of a sudden it becomes abundant in the thyroid gland. Lungs and pericardium, endothelium, liver and pancreas, stomach, intestines, ovaries and prostates, and all secretions. Now, here's where that varies. If you're like me, a non-secretor, you don't distribute your blood type in any of your body secretions. That's what it is to be a non-secretor. 80% of the world population is secretors. Your non-secretors don't display it in any of their body, their sweat, their semen, what have you, and therefore are at a slightly higher risk of cancers. Trust me, I'm on the cancer protocol. Now, agglutination. Here's what normal blood looks like. Here's what agglutinated blood looks like. It's the gluing together or the stickiness of the cell. It's an immunological reaction. Blood group antibodies are very powerful and can bind many cells, causing agglutination. This is what happens when you eat certain food types or certain types of food, which bring the discussion to lectins, because the lectins create the agglutination. So, what is a lectin? Lectins are carbohydrate bonding proteins that are highly specific for sugar groups, the glycoproteins, that are part of the other molecules which cause agglutination of the cell. Lectins will interact with the glycoproteins of the blood groups in such a way that they will have a specificity to one blood type, but another they will leave alone. Here, the lectin is attached to two red blood cells. You see the lectin in green there. Cells acting like a bridge. Basically, understanding agglutination. If you put a bunch of tennis balls in a box and you put a few pieces of double-sided Velcro, you shake that box up, eventually you're going to get clusters of these tennis balls together. That's what agglutination looks like. Most of the time when we have a bacteria, a virus, a parasite, present in the system, it attaches to us by a process of agglutination. This is also why there is a variation of disease by virtue of blood type. These are some of the foods that contain lectins. You can see a variety of different foods contain lectins. Every blood type has a specific group of foods that are good for them and a specific group of foods that aren't good for them based on the lectins. The disease process. At the basis of most chronic disease, such as diabetes, inflammatory disease, and cancer, are abnormal additions of sugars to proteins and fats, characterized by aberrant glycosylation. Therefore, when we get sick, our process of making glycoproteins and glycolipids becomes disrupted, and we can get changes in the sugar profile of the tissue. The baseball example. Baseballs have some stitching on them, but not enough to cover the entire ball. So if we were to put some Velcro, double-sided Velcro, maybe we would get some to stick together. There isn't enough stitching on them to get the job done. Look at the baseball as an example of a healthy cell. Thus, the glycosylation, sugar production, is normal and controlled. An unhealthy cell is similar to the beat-up tennis balls with more disrupted sugar everywhere. The sicker we get, the more our cells resemble the beat-up tennis balls. Thus, when we are healthy, we don't immediately notice the process that plays out with lectins and blood types. However, as we get older and sicker, the relationships to foods, blood type, and illness becomes increasingly more significant. Let me give you an example of that. I had a nephew when he was healthy and young. He told me, he said, "This blood type stuff you do is bananas. I'm a blood type A. You tell me that blood type A's aren't supposed to do red meat from cow, and I eat it all the time. I like it. I feel fine on it. It doesn't give me any problem." That's because he's young and healthy. Wind the clock forward. He turns 36 years old. The glycoproteins on his cellular structure start disrupting. The glycolipids start disrupting. He's not as healthy as he used to be. Now he comes in and he says, "You know what? I'm blowing fire out of my chops." What he means by that is his reflux is so bad, his heartburn so bad, it feels like fire coming out of his mouth. What do I tell him? Get off the red meat. He now doesn't eat the red meat, and he doesn't have the heartburn or the reflux like he once had. Blood type A's have a heck of a time breaking down that heavy protein because genetically they make less hydrochloric acid in their stomach than any other blood type. Intestinal alkaline phosphatase. This is interesting. There is more than just lectin relationship to delve into. Consider intestinal alkaline phosphatase. It does two things of importance. When you were approximately 12 weeks old, it was the single most abundant enzyme in your body. At this point, intestinal alkaline phosphatase has a significant role in the development of your microvilli. Now, the microvilli are your little finger-like projections in your intestines that absorb all your nutrients. In adults, intestinal alkaline phosphatase accomplishes three things. It splits cholesterol, increases calcium absorption, and has a healing effect on the intestinal tract. Blood type O's. People with blood type O have 3.5 times the content of intestinal alkaline phosphatase than someone with blood type A. So that makes the blood type O carrier 3 times as effective in splitting cholesterol, absorbing calcium, and healing in general. Dietary protein intake will turn on the healing effect. High density protein. This is another reason why blood type O carriers tend to do better on protein diets. The paleo diet, the Atkins diet, that's why your type O's do great on that diet. You put an A on that diet, and you'll give them gut rot, you'll give them reflux, you'll give them all kinds of bowel troubles, and you'll accelerate their cholesterol production. Blood type A's. Now, if you have a blood type A carrier who doesn't make a whole lot of intestinal alkaline phosphatase as well as traditionally having less stomach acid content, they are the ones who will have trouble with high protein diets for digestive purposes and will experience the downside troubles of cholesterol. Blood type Bs. The blood type B carriers fall into the true omnivore diet. They have a unique antigen that responds uniquely to a subclass of foods. Example, the chicken will agglutinate the blood type B cells. However, if you swap out the chicken for turkey, nothing happens. This is where I thought the blood type diet was baloney with that chicken stuff. It's proven itself time and time again over time. Here it is, simple premise. Your blood type A group people are better on a plant-based diet with the lighter proteins, chicken and fish. Your blood type Bs are more omnivorous. The ABs are more unique in themselves, and the blood type Os are more of your high protein Atkins paleo diet. So, blood type O. Dopamine beta hydroxylase converts dopamine to norepinephrine. Aerobic exercise is best for these people, especially if they're stressed. Wheat consumption increases norepinephrine, which in turn decreases dopamine. Your blood type Os need their dopamine. They tend to be your downers. They need their uppers, which is the dopamine. Makes them happier. Suffer from more yeast production than any other blood type. The women out there will have more yeast infections, the blood type O women, than most other blood types. So the healthy agers, to slow it down or slow down aging, low carb diet, lean meats, oily fish, sea vegetables, green leafy vegetables, aerobic exercise, which is fantastic for the O's if they're stressed, fatty acids, dopamine enhancer, that's their uppers, curcumin, resveratrol, and yerba mate. Now, on healthy agers, wheat, beer, corn, sugar, most dairy products, sedentary lifestyle, coffee. Coffee's a big one for O's. I tell O's, you'll have those days where coffee will settle good in your guts, and then you'll have the other days where you'll feel like your guts are turned upside down from the coffee. You'll never lose the weight like you want to if you do coffee as a blood type O. Polyunsaturated oils, those are another unhealthy ager for O's. So let's look at some nutrients. Blood type O's. Colitis, diverticulitis is common in this blood type. The product GI Resolve Beta TCP and biodemulsion is an absolute home run for these people. These are the people that will eat carbs, do an Italian dinner, pasta, bread, iceberg lettuce, and it will upset their guts because it'll flare up their colitis or diverticulitis. These nutrients here will literally shut that off. It'll give them the ability to eat those foods without distress. Honestly, they should give up those foods though. Now, stress in an O, Minchex, de-stress, rhodiola ginseng is a home run, especially the rhodiola for depression. Weight gain for a blood type O, they want to be on the glucose sugar balance. It'll help to decrease their appetite with the gymnevia in there. The gaminol forte cuts the belly fat, helps them with muscle tone, and the ADP. That's a great way to take the weight off for an O. Hemorrhoids in a blood type O, beta TCP, Livertrip Plus wins every time. Memory, cod liver oil, you'll start to remember phone numbers you'd like to forget. Bioctazole is a home run. Phosphatidylserine has been proven to double the blood supply to the brain in 2 weeks. Nucleozyme and 8 times pancreatin, which helps to increase the flow of blood to the brain along with the phosphatidylserine. Sleep for an O, home run. Lauren likes this one. Formula 303 and IRF will put you nighty-night. You'll wake up rested. Focus and ADD, Minchex, L-izyme, and Nucleozyme. That'll take the kid from a C student to an A student. Depression. If it's manic, you want the L-izyme. If it's seasonal depression, you want to do, and this one I use daily, Cyzyme PT, HBT, L-tyrosine. Rhodiola ginseng's not always needed, but sometimes if they're stressed. But these two right here are an absolute home run for your blood type O's that experience seasonal depression. Blood type A's, they do well on fermented soy products. Fermented soy, not the type we have here that are non-fermented soy. I'm talking about miso soy. The fermented soy products help arteries fight cancer, and the anti-cancer properties are most pronounced in this blood type. There is a lectin in soy that identifies early stage of breast, ovarian, and colon cancer that looks like blood type A. It can help identify it. Problems regulating cortisol, they tend to overproduce it. So A's will make too much cortisol, which will affect blood sugars. I like to use a few products for that, which we'll talk about later. Healthy agers for your A's that slow down aging. Mediterranean Asian diet, fermented soy products. Remember, they have to be fermented. Olive or flaxseed oil, walnuts, red wine, mushrooms, cranberries, lemons, yoga, tai chi is the best exercise for them. Proper sleep, melatonin helps them tremendously. Unhealthy agers are your smoked or fried foods, red meats, halibut, tomatoes, lima beans, bananas, papaya, most dairy products, sedentary lifestyle, saturated fats, and high cortisol. Some nutrients for you A's out there. Anxiety is common in the A's. 5-HTP de-stress is a home run with the Mintran. Probably nothing better than those. The 5-HTP helps to increase their serotonin, which kind of relaxes them. The de-stress is an extracted milk enzyme, which has no casein or lactose in it. And the Mintran is a mineral tranquilizer. Those three are a home run for your anxiety. Gas and bloating, AF beta food. I haven't found anything that works better. Sinus issues, Histoplex AB, Calamo, Centarest. Joint stiffness, Calamo and Dismazine granules is a home run. Prostate or benign prostatic hypertrophy, Prostapower, citrus pectin, and grapefruit seed extract. Works fantastic. You got the bad prostate, this will work well. Sometimes we have to put in some Cataplex AC. Constipation, nothing better than magnesium and colon plus caps for the blood type A's. Usually I'll do about 400 milligrams of that. Fatigue and stress, Cyzyme AD is an absolute home run with ADHS. I do the AD in the morning, probably somewhere around 3 to 4, and I like the ADHS at night. This helps balance and regulate that adrenal gland perfectly. Sleep, IRF, BioCMP, Paraplex. If these aren't working, turn to hemp oil complex. Blood type Bs, like organization, tend to be the worriers, always fatigued, carriers of E. coli. Corn has extreme effect on the blood type, on their blood sugar. So corn syrup is a big no-no for you blood type Bs fighting diabetes out there. Because of the B antigen, they react negatively to chicken. They store wheat gluten as fat, so you store your wheat. If you want to lose weight as a blood type B, you got to get off the gluten. It's stored as fat. 30 minutes of aerobic exercise is best. They're healthy agers, or slow it down: lamb, halibut, cod, choline, brewer's yeast, elderberry, licorice, papayas, pineapple, feta cheese, mozzarella, and methylcobalamin. Now, their unhealthy agers are soy, chicken, sea bass, clams, corn, buckwheat, rye, sesame, lentils, gums, gar gum, mustard. Now, treatment for the bees. Poor immunity. I found home runs with the Bio Detox Pack when their immune system is down. With a bee, I don't like to use the direct immune supporters because it'll make them feel lousy. Remember, bees are more susceptible to autoimmune. What does that mean? It means your immune system is attacking itself. So what happens if you put them on an immune stimulator, they get worse. Carl, an old friend of mine, was in the hospital. He had myasthenia gravis. He was a blood type B, which is an autoimmune disease, by the way, neurologic. Every year he would get the flu shot. Every year he would go on a breathing machine after getting the flu shot, 2, maybe 3 weeks. The one time he had aspirated pneumonia. I went up to the hospital. I sat down with the doctors and his wife, and I said, Carl's got an autoimmune disease. Now, with MDs, you got to be careful because they got egos, so you can't tarnish their egos. So I sat down with him and I said, you know, Carl's got an autoimmune disease called myasthenia gravis. I always thought if you have an autoimmune disease, which means your immune system attacking itself, you wouldn't want to stimulate the immune system by putting in a vaccine. I watched 4 doctors look back and forth at each other. Nobody said anything. They got up and left the room. They came back later when I wasn't there, and they said to Doris, they said, we no longer want you to vaccinate Carl each year with the flu shot. Carl lived several years after that and never went back on a breathing machine. Constipation. So I like this to build immunity because it does it in a roundabout way. The Biodetox Pack will get their immune system functioning better. Constipation, colon plus cap is a home run. You can use magnesium with them. Sleep, magnesium is a home run. Stress, 5-HTP, ADHS, and Enzyme Forte, and 5-MTHR, which is the methylated B12. Circulation, and Enzyme Forte, and 8 times pancreatin, there's nothing better for them. I'm telling you, most of my blood type Bs, when they get on Intenzyme, immediately, as long as they're not on a blood thinner, immediately they will say to me, my energy feels better, what did you do? I thinned out your blood that was viscous because probably they're doing a lot of chicken because everybody thinks of chicken as a staple of health. Type ABs, these are tough ones. It's the newest of all blood types. Categorized 2% of the population, the world population. Food that reacts with A and B will react or may react with this type. This blood type doesn't have any antibodies, therefore they don't react to too many things. Now, they're healthy agers, or slow it down. Whitefish, salmon, sardines, cruciferous vegetables, macadamia nuts. And by the way, if you have somebody that's struggling to put on weight or in a desperate situation, let's just say somebody that might have been anorexic or something and they need to put on weight fast. I don't know if you know this, but macadamia nuts is one of the best ways. A lot of people will say go out and eat junk food, but macadamia nuts is one of the fastest way to get somebody back up in weight. Olive oil, flax seeds, beets, spinach are to slow down the aging. On the healthy agers are chicken, venison, shrimp, crab, dairy, soy, wheat, peanuts and peanut butter, eggplants, and tomatoes and bell peppers. By the way, the O's out there, the bell peppers, the eggplants are horrible on your joint pain. Blood type ABs for fatigue and energy. Cardio Plus has always been a home run for the blood type Bs and ABs to get their energy up. Usually I use the version of it that is gluten-free. Adrenal Complex, omega-3s. Omega-3s, Dawn, you know out there, that omega-3 has helped you. I tried to switch her to the cod liver oil. She said, Dr. Gill, I just don't feel as good on that cod liver. Put her back to the omega-3 EPA DHA, and she said, my energy went up tenfold. Stress and worry, organically bound minerals, Mintran, 5-HTP, and de-stress is a home run for the ABs. Bladder infections can be common in ABs. Arginex is a home run for that. Sleep in the ABs, L-Enzyme Forte shuts off that busy brain at night that doesn't allow them to fall asleep. And then the magnesium, it's a home run. Constipation, magnesium. Let's not forget magnesium is the most deficient mineral in the United States. Therefore, magnesium is something we all could probably use a little bit of. Do it on an empty stomach. You do it with food, it'll make a metabolic soap and give you gas, so be careful with it. So, results of self-reported findings of the ABO blood type food selection, which means the people that followed the blood type diet. Group A's, you see the improvements. No change was here. Change or improvement was here. And every blood group that followed the blood type diet, this is the improvement of change they got. I think it's worth investigating. I think it's worth trying out. And here it is. Hippocrates, the father of medicine. He said, Hippocrates placed great emphasis on strengthening and building up the body's inherent resistance to disease. For this, he prescribed diet, gymnastics, exercise, massage, hydrotherapy, and sea bathing. Hippocrates was a great believer in dietary measures in the treatment of disease. He prescribed a very slender, light diet during the crisis stage of an acute illness and a liquid diet during the treatment of fevers and wounds. He was also the guy that said, let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. Nutrition is your food, folks. Thank you for coming out to listen to me tonight. I want to do a shout out to this guy, Nick at Little Joe's Coney Island. Now, he will not be open until September 1st, but this whole pandemic has made a mess of our local businesses. This is what it's done to his Coney Island. The boneless chicken breast went from $40 to $98 in a box. The pan and grill oil went from $18 to $91. The shortening went from 15 bucks to 35. The case of bacon went from $60 to $103. The corned beef went from $3.69 a pound to $4.69 a pound. And when you're using as many pounds as he uses a week, that gets quite expensive. Cooks, $14 an hour, now want $20. Dishwashers, $9 an hour. You can't keep them. They're making more money to stay at home with the stimulus. So he's got to walk on eggshells with the waitresses and things. But he's opening back up in September 1st. He's cleaning his whole facility, which I respect. He went on vacation because he thought he was losing his marbles because he's been so stressed out. What does that mean? Or what am I saying? Let's support our local people. Everybody struggled a little bit with this pandemic, so please support local. DSH always supports local. And Moe's Restaurant on 10, we love you guys. You're always good to us. So support local. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening to me. Take your pills. God bless and amen.